Now, welcome everyone this evening. We have a few public hearings to go through first and foremost. At this time, I'd like to open the public hearing for an ordinance to sell property owned by the town of Batesburg-Leesville located at 171 Lookout Point, Saluda County, South Carolina. Do I have anyone who would like to speak on this public ordinance? As there are none, I will close the public ordinance to sell the property owned by the town of Batesburg-Leesville located at 171 South Lookout Point, Saluda County, South Carolina. Our second public hearing is an ordinance amending the rates related to water tap fees. Anyone who would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing there are none, I will close the public hearing for the ordinance amending rates related to water tap fees. The third public hearing for this evening is an ordinance to amend the water base rates and water rates per 1,000 gallon. Do I have anyone who would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing there are none, I will close the ordinance to amend water base rates and water rates per 1,000 gallons. And our last public hearing for this evening is an ordinance to amend section 1-7-3 of the town's code of ordinance relating to filing for candidacy for mayor and council positions. Do I have anyone who would like to speak on this public hearing? Seeing there are none, I will close the public hearing for the ordinance to amend section 1-7-3 of the town's code of ordinance relating to filing for candidacy for mayor and council positions. And at this time, I'd like to call our meeting this evening in order. Thank you all for being here this evening. It's the town of Batesburg-Leesville. It's our regular council meeting, and it is July the 10th at the beautiful town hall complex. If I could ask Jason Prowse if you would lead us in an invocation. Unless I have a pastor here. Did I have a pastor? All right, Jason Prowse, if you would, sir. Let's pray.
Father, as always, I come before you thankful and grateful for the mercy that you show us every day, the sacrifice that you made for us, and the display of love that you've given and shown to us. I just pray, Lord, as we enter into the business of the town, as usual, I ask that you be with us and guide us with your wisdom in the ways that satisfy you and glorify you, and work the best to bring the best for our fellow citizens. It's in your name, Lord, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Stand for the pledge if you are able, led by Mr. Gambrell.
Next flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thanks, sir. Item 4, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Mr. Hall, second by Mr. Gambrell. Wait a minute. Yes. I'm missing that on my thing here. Let's pay. I have a first and a second. Do I any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And Mayor votes yes. Motion passes. Adoption of the minutes. We have 3 this evening to vote on. Our regular council meeting for June the 12th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Mr. Gambrell, and I have a second by Mr. Hall. Any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And Mayor votes yes. Motion passes. Adoption of the minutes of the, let's see, our special council meeting on June 21st, 2023. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
I've got Mr. Gambrell. And
I'll
I've
second
got
Mr. Gambrell.
second from Mr. Prowse. Any discussion? District 1?
Yes.
2?
Yes.
4?
Yes.
6?
Yes.
7?
Yes.
8?
Yes.
And Mayor votes yes. Motion passes. The motion for the emergency council meeting minutes for June 24th, 2023. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Mr. Prowse, have a second.
Second.
Mr. Hall, thank you. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
District 4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. Motion passes. For the mayor's report, our next scheduled council meeting will be August the 14th. The year just continues to fly by. For council committees to report, Central Midlands Councilmember Bob Hall.
Central Midlands Code Board of Directors met on June the 22nd. It was the last meeting of our outgoing chairman, Mayor Foster Senn. Most of the meeting was taken up reviewing his tenure. The budget for 23-24 was presented and approved. Mrs. Vance, our consultant's last day is July 3rd, so Mr. Poole is now the Executive Director of the Central Midlands COG, and Mr. Will Brenham is our new Chairman of the board. Our next meeting will be August 24th. There is no meeting in July.
Thank you, sir. Environmental Planning Advisory Committee, Councilmember Prince.
EPAC did not meet in June. Our next scheduled meeting is July 19th.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Kane is not here. I don't think we have anything from the comment. Mr. Kane submit anything? Mr. Luckett, okay. Enjoy Municipal did not meet in June, but we will have a meeting this week for July. Item C, BL Chamber of Commerce update. President Mike Taylor. Mr. Mike, if you would.
Good evening. As you know, we are Batesburg-Leesville Chamber, but also Batesburg-Leesville Chamber of Business. A lot of people forget that, and I'd say maybe 40, can you hear me? Okay, I imagine roughly 40% of it is business center. We have a lot of people that either come in and looking to move to this area, or people that are looking for information. I'm going to get people that might be coming into town and want to know where certain things were when they were growing up, things like that. In the past, I've been there 12 years. At the same time, I've lived in this community my whole life, so other than service in college, I have a pretty good knowledge of what was here for many years. However, in the past, when I would get a call and not know what the answer was, I could call Ms. Louise Wright, and I could find that answer out. I don't have her now, but I do have all of her volumes of history at the chamber. Some of the indexes is accurate, some of it isn't. But the reason I'm pointing this out is like the anniversary of Hitachi. I was able to go back and find some information, pictures, news articles when found them, and things that they should help them. I just recently had a ribbon cutting for the garage gals down there, and we went in and found out some history on the MacArthur building, and was able to present that when they did the ribbon cutting. I had a couple that came up from Hilton Head that her and her sister had visited their grandmama, the Seals, back in years. Being able to provide all that information is great. Having it is wonderful, but the sad part is, what about the future? We have nobody collecting that now. And as beneficial as this is to me and many generations to come, I think it's a shame it's not being done like now. And we also need a place in the future to house these types of things. Last month, I think I mentioned y'all, and I just did about 60th anniversary of Hitachi, of the plant Batesburg-Leesville. On Thursday, the 29th, I had an opportunity to tour that plant again. I don't have the terminology or the accurate description of what I saw. I know what it does, but I couldn't tell you exactly. But I'll explain it to you this way. I don't know how y'all felt when you heard Lee Greenwood saying "God bless the USA" for the first time. I felt a lot of pride. I felt the same pride when I walked through that plant and saw what people from this community do, the importance of it, the lives that are dependent on it being accurate and so forth. I felt the same pride of being here at Batesburg-Leesville and what not only Hitachi does, but many other manufacturers and small businesses and businesses do represent this community. Two of the large projects they have right now, to give you an example, for domestic mass transit, is Long Island Railroad in New York, Los Angeles Division 20 in California, and Bay Area Transit in San Francisco. Employees at Hitachi Rail build transportation systems and on rail signaling to support mass transit not only in the U.S. but around the globe. We're fortunate to have them. I've put on each one on your desk there an offering that Mills Technical College hopes to offer for entrepreneurs and businesses that have started a business but looking to grow it. It's a 30-hour course. They time over several weeks, I'm not sure how many. My first question was the cost. I was told between $0 and $200. And the reason I think that is, it depends on several things, but if you hadn't got a little input or a little skin in the game, you're most probably not going to be as attentive in $10 sessions. So I imagine it costs a little bit. Our annual auction is coming up Saturday, August the 19th. Hope y'all will be able to come. If anybody has any questions, I'd be glad to entertain.
Thank you, Mr. Mike.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Hall?
Mr. Taylor.
Yes, sir.
Out of curiosity, exactly what did you have as a founding date for Hitachi?
I'm trying to think. I looked at it, and if you remember, it was a turbo plant at one time, and
Yes.
they, it was in '63, was when they signed the documents and everything.
62. I was.
They started in '62.
I was one of the first employees.
Yeah, you're right. And congratulations.
And we have another one in the audience that can.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Let's see. Public comments regarding any items on the agenda, Mr. Dion? Thank you. Moving to unfinished business. Item A, second reading of the ordinance to sell property owned by the town of Batesburg-Leesville located at 171 Lookout Point, Saluda County, South Carolina. Do I have a motion to adopt second reading?
So moved.
Mr. Hall, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Prowse? Mr. Prowse? Mr. Prowse, okay, thank you. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
District 3 votes yes.
4,
Yes.
6, 7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes, motion passes. Item B is the second reading of ordinance amending rates to the water tap fees. It's presented in your packet and, of course, in the first reading. Do I have a motion to adopt second reading?
So moved.
Mr. Hall, do I have a second?
Second.
Ms. Lemon, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
District 3 votes no.
4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes, motion passes. Item C of unfinished business is second reading for the ordinance to amend the water base rates and water rates per 1,000 gallons. This is again second reading. I have a motion to adopt second reading.
So moved.
Mr. Hall, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wise, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
District 3 votes no.
4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. Motion passes. And item D for unfinished business is the second reading of ordinance to amend section 1-7-3 of the town's code of ordinances relating to filing for candidacy for mayor and council positions. Again, this is second reading. Do I have a motion to adopt second reading?
So moved.
Ms. Lemon? Second, Mr. Gambrell? Any discussion?
Ted, have you
Mr. Kane?
made any adjustments to the budget to reflect the potential for increased runoffs?
No, sir. We budgeted based on the history of what our elections have cost.
Yeah, but now we changed what it's on, what we're doing, right? Potentially. So if we have a runoff, first of all, how much did elections cost?
I think in the past, we've been spending somewhere around $3,000 something for each election.
Okay, and if we have to run them twice.
Well, if we have a runoff for one district or two, I mean, it's a nominal cost that adds on, but it's not $3,000 again.
How much is it, do you think?
I'm not sure off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you, man.
Thank you. Any other discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2? Yes.
3,
District 3 votes no.
4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes, motion passes. Moving into new business. Let's see. First item is the council vote for excused absence from last month's meeting for Councilmember Mitchell. Do I have a motion to excuse the absence? Ms. Lemon, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gambrell, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
District 3 votes yes.
4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and my vote's yes. Motion passes. Item B is a first reading for ordinance to rezone 3 parcels of property consisting of 3.01 acres owned by Randy Walston, located on the corner of East Church Street and Shumpert Street. Lexington County TMS number is 06021-01-036, which is 1.5 acres. 06021-01-02, which is 0.37 acres. And 06021-01-032, which is 1.14 acres, from two-family residential to R1A, single-family and manufactured housing residential. Do I have this is presented in your packet, do I have a motion to adopt first reading? Ms. Lemon, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Wise? Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Hall?
The term mobile home is used in this, it's used in the
It should be
memo
manufactured.
and in his application. As I understand it, our ordinance states that mobile homes, let's see, manufactured homes as defined in section 8.7 are no more than 3 years old, but manufactured homes, not mobile homes.
Right.
We also need to look at that ordinance because that ordinance, HUD, has defined all homes that are manufactured off-site as manufactured home and no longer uses the term mobile. We go further and we define mobile, and we define it as 12 by 50 with a undercarriage. Mobile homes are now built much bigger than 12 by 50.
Correct.
I catch myself using that term, but they are that way. So we really need to address and change that ordinance to reflect the fact that we are dealing with manufacturing homes.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Any other discussion?
Teddy,
Mr. King?
To ask you about the zoning, I'm gonna go back to my horse because it's still healthy. Every other month, we rezone something. We give a variance for something. And I'm young enough to remember all the money that we spent with Mr. Reynolds putting together a zoning map of the town, where we wanted to be, where we wanted everything to be. And it's just concerning to me that every month now, just about, we rezone, we annex something. So would it not be prudent for us to revisit our zoning map in some type of work session along with the planning commission, so that we don't have to, Pat don't like to use the word, but spot zone, you know, every other month we doing something. And we need to really consider that because we very rarely say no to a rezoning situation. So we don't want to get ourselves caught in a situation where somebody comes with something that's reasonable and for whatever reason we say no. So we need to have some type of dialogue that will allow us to find out what type of zoning we want, where we want it, so we don't have to go through this every other month. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. King. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I
Mr.
may.
Hall?
I have a second concern, and that concern is water sewer service to that site. Is there sewer available at that location? Or is that septic tanks?
Mr. Walston, property owner, is here. I don't know the answer. You can step up.
Yeah, just to clarify, one, I made that mistake on the mobile home, I do it all the time, I'm also a real estate broker.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, and I totally know it's manufactured, and I know they can't get older than 3 years of age, and they have to be underskirted. So this is really about some affordable housing for two people that I know already. I was able I will be able to own the finance for them and establish their credit value. So that's what it was about. There is public sewer on the front lot, which is the house up there. Assume y'all all know the house, been there for a long time. The lot behind it had a mobile home on it, which I've already taken off, took out all the dead trees, so we cleaned the place up. So that mobile home that was there was, according to the county, is connected to the public sewer and it's on a well. Right? And the third lot has a septic tank and water. I think that one's can't come from the county or from the city. So there's two, if I understood it correctly, I went with the map with Patricia. There's either two water taps already there, and sewer, I think, on the front, on the big house, the brick house. But I don't think the sewers run into the third lot. The only thing that wasn't described properly yet, and I haven't done it yet, but it's on the books, get done, is we're gonna take a little bit of that front lot to equal the two lots behind. They would be 3/4 acres apiece, where currently the middle lot was, I think you said 0.34. So when it was said and done, it would be almost 0.75, 0.75 and 1.5, where the house is at, or currently is.
Okay, does this qualify as cluster housing, and therefore our ordinance requires individual taps, sewer taps?
There would have to be individual taps for each property.
Yes, that water and sewer.
Correct.
Thank you.
I just wasn't sure if the sewer went that far or not. The way it was explained to me, I wasn't sure.
I would have to pull up each of those accounts
Yeah.
in the billing system to see what service was on them before.
Right, because it goes right up against that church, and my understanding was it didn't go there. But if it does, it's great.
Okay, Teddy, what happens?
Mr. Kane,
What's that?
you have the floor, sir.
Yeah. So what happens if the water,
If there's no sewer to one of the lots?
they would either, we as a town would have to consider extension of it, or they could put a septic tank in because service is unavailable.
There is a septic tank there already. Yeah. There were two mobile homes originally on these same lots, so the well and septic is currently already there. It just, if the public sewer is available, that's great.
Now, are you planning to use the septic if it's not?
What's got to be inspected, I'm not sure of the age of it,
Okay.
but it may have to be redone. The mobile home that I took out was old. So I'm assuming the septic tank is too.
Well, the only reason why I asked is because once we zone it, I mean, it's done.
Yeah.
So, as long as you were aware of it. So,
Any other discussion? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gambrell,
you requesting zone for the house and the two lots?
this would be for 3 parcels,
The
sir.
house will remain
As what?
as a house, residential.
This would be a rezoning
The
of,
house is having to be rezoned to meet the 2-acre requirement.
So what do you plan on putting it?
It
The house
remains,
will remain.
the brick house would stay, but it's a part of the rezoning because you have to have a minimum 2
What will
acres.
the house be rezoned as, commercial, residential,
It would be the R1A.
R1A?
from R2 to R1A. Mr. Gambrell still has the floor. Do you have Mr. Gambrell, do you have a further question?
No certified, or attorney.
Any other discussion? Again, it's first reading ordinance to rezone those 3 parcels along Highway 23. District 1,
Yes.
2,
No,
3?
you come back to me.
No, I'm sorry, I called you out. You take your time.
This first reading. Okay, yes.
4,
Yes.
6,
yes.
7,
No.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes no. Motion passes. First reading. Presentation of the fiscal year 2021-2022 audit. Mr. Luckady, introduce our guest, please.
Okay, tonight, as we've had the past couple of years, Neil Kreider, who is with McGregor and Company, he's the head guy in charge for McGregor and Company in the Barnwell office. He's here to present the findings of the 21-22 audit tonight.
He's here.
Is it green around? Just tap it.
Michael Neese, are you in the house?
It's hiding,
Jay's on vacation. Michael Neese will step up and swoop in, sir. Pull out your fat man cave.
You can go ahead and start this time.
All right, appreciate the introduction. Mr. Mayor.
Good to see you.
Council, hope you're all doing well. So, as always, I'd like to thank management and staff for letting us interrupt their day and pull a bunch of documents out. I think we ended up just about all of Miss Judy's office and this one over here. But disrupts their day, it's a lot of questions, pulling documents for us, so I do appreciate them helping facilitate our audit. All right, so I'll get right to the opinions on the financial statements for fiscal year 22. After conducting our audit for the fiscal year and obtaining sufficient appropriate evidence to support our opinions, we issue an unmodified opinion on the financial statements, or a clean opinion. So we consider the town's internal control over financial reporting, to determine our audit procedures, to express an opinion on the financial statements, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of the town's internal control. So when speaking of internal control deficiencies, there are two types to reach the level of reportable findings, and they are known as significant deficiencies and material weaknesses. Significant deficiencies are less severe finding, while material weaknesses report a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement will not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. So we're pleased to say there were no reportable findings for fiscal year 22. All right, so I want to cover some financial highlights here and then open it up to some questions. Governmental funds, we'll start there. We'll start with your general fund.
Neil, real quick, could you be sure to point what page if they want to follow
We do have a copy if you'll point out the page.
Okay, I can do that. Sorry. I was afraid that was a little cumbersome last year, so I kind of strayed away from doing that.
It's no problem.
I'm not trying to throw you off.
But 49 would be a good page to go to.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so the general fund had a decrease in fund balance of $34,706, bringing the ending fund balance to $2,280,738. So that equates to about 5.5 to 6 months of operating space. And if you recall our discussion last year, there will be a timing difference with the lease purchase proceeds accounting and the lease purchase expenditure accounting. So in FY22, there were $234,053 in lease purchase expenditures without the corresponding lease purchase proceeds, as they were picked up in full last year. So the lease purchase expenditures are mostly what led to the large budget variance in your expenditures. So let's pause there since we're on this page. Any questions regarding general fund?
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Gambrell?
as I read it, we had an actual of 448,32,948 with a variance of 258,348. That was to the minus in revenues budget.
Yeah,
No, we took in more.
that's correct.
Took in more.
Yes, sir.
That's a plus.
So yeah, the total revenues was a plus of 258,000, and most of that, what I would say, is conservatively budgeting around the municipal association revenues. So there's a little bit extra in there, you would say. And instead of sort of budgeting what we're gonna take in there, I guess it's kind of being conservative. So that's what led to most of that favorable variance there. And then, like I say, the expenditures, most of that was the lease purchase in the current year. Okay. And just something else to note there, proceeds from the sale of assets, that includes some equipment proceeds and also that land sale. So that's where that's showing up. Okay. Any other questions here on the general fund? Okay. So I'll take you to hospitality tax. That's on page 50. So we had a decrease in fund balance of $25,876, bringing that fund balance to $577,764. So that just means we're putting that money to good use. Any questions here? Okay, we got a new fund. We'll need to flip to the front for it. Let's see here. Page 14. So we got American Rescue Plan Fund. So this being a special revenue, we've got this, and it's major, so we're having to report this separately. This is going to report the ARPA money and the spending of those funds. And right now, we've received that money up front, so we're only reporting the revenue and expenses of what we actually earned. And then, so at June 30th, 22, there's still $841,471 that's remaining in restricted cash for further spending in accordance with that grant. So this year we spent on premium pay and system of the fire truck. I don't think that was a full purchase. I think that was
Partial.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any questions there? It's pretty straightforward, and you can see on page 12. Look, I drift away from this thing. You'll see the balance sheet side of that, and the balance sheet side of general fund, hospitality. Any questions here? Okey-doke. Now we can move to, go to the back, and we'll look at utility fund. We'll look at the budget schedule here for this one in case there's any questions. So this is 65. Through 69. So the utility fund had a profit of $2,125,963. This figure includes $1,444,391 of CDBG and RIA grant reimbursements. And all of those expenditures were capitalized, so they're not in expense, they're actually on the balance sheet. So that's kind of what's contributing to this large profit for this year. So this brings the total net position in the utility fund to $13,491,624. Of this amount, $9,945,301 is your net investment in capital assets. So that's your cost, that's your accumulated depreciation. And the remaining $3,546,323 is essentially cash that would remain after paying your current liabilities. So for that fund, $3,744,043 was added to your construction and process for various projects. So that's what you spent during that fiscal year on all your various capital projects.
The $4 million revenue bond debt was added, and $1,445,233 in bond proceeds remain to be spent at June 30th, 22. And the 2015 revenue bond debt of $790,000 was paid off with this new debt as well. So that's $260,483 that will be due each year, as you know. Okay, any questions on utility? Okay, let's flip forward. These here are the big statements that capture all your information. This is 10 and 11. So when we pull all this information together, the town's net position increased overall by $2,843,200. So the town had overall revenues of $10,905,664 and overall expenses of $8,062,464. Overall, your long-term debt increased by $3,086,048. But with all this being said, the town pretty good financial shape. I'd say it's in strong financial shape. So any questions on these front two statements? Because, you know, as we move along in the accounting world, these things are getting more and more complicated, and it's, in my opinion, less likely or less useful. I'm saying this publicly right now.
Did you say pretty good or just great?
What's that?
What was the characterization about standing? Pretty good or great?
You know what the towns?
Yeah.
Strong.
Okay.
I can say that with confidence.
Okay.
I'm talking about the accounting world is being, with all these standards that we have to put in, and it muddies up the usefulness for somebody who's not a CPA. You know, people trying to.
There's some reservation in your voice.
Oh, yeah, that has nothing to do with the town.
Okay, good.
That's got to do with these scholars, I guess, that write up these things that we have to struggle through. So any questions or anything that you see in page 10 or 11 that you'd like me to explain or try to explain? Okay, well,
excuse me.
Mr. Hall?
Over the last couple of years, we've had some very large infusions of one-time funding that would impact these statements. Is that a fairly accurate statement?
that's fairly accurate.
Yes, we've had major grants. The federal government has kicked in major money, all right, per se. So it's not something that we'll be looking at, since it's one-time money, it's not something we'll be looking at strongly in the future.
Right, and I don't see an indication of the town leaning on those funds. They're just utilizing them as they're there. So I don't see. If I saw that, I would certainly want to bring that up.
But these numbers are based on a cash system, not long-term liabilities, are not shown.
Are you talking about the fund?
Yes.
Yes. Certain statements in here are more on the current liability, current asset model, and don't necessarily reflect all the utility fund is actually the utility fund presented in here does show complete assets liabilities. It's what's called a full accrual. The general fund, all that has to come through like a sort of a reconciliation that you'll see on page 20, page 13 and page 15, which kind of it creates a crosswalk from the cash, more current focus to the long-term focus, if that makes sense. There's a lot of different things, your assets, your debt, the OPEB liability, which is other post-employment benefits such as your health insurance for retirees, your GASB 68, which is retirement liability with the state, which is a very large figure. So that's what these reconciliations do.
I have one procedural question.
Okay.
And we will meet the 13-month deadline for reporting our affairs to the state.
Yes, sir.
We missed a March 31st deadline with Fiscal Affairs Office. But that law has no teeth temporarily. They pull, normally they would be able to withhold our funds. Is there something needs to be done to make sure that we do not miss that date in the future?
I kind of feel like this past year was a little bit out of everybody's control. But certainly the news is being made because I'm already getting information from David. He's kind of got me a little excited, so I'm ready to come back in and work. But yeah.
Yeah, we've already started pushing next year's audit stuff to them.
Yeah. I get excited when files start showing up in my Dropbox and my email. So,
Awesome.
Because as soon as that stuff goes, I'm ready to hit the road and start working. So, just really quick, looking ahead to fiscal year 23, which is just ended, but that's the audit. I'm always, my years are always crazy because I'm working on different fiscal years. But anyway, we've got to be thinking about this single audit. That's where you reach the 750,000. So I think we're okay.
Do you mind if I
Fiscal year.
expound on that just a little bit?
Sure.
So if you spend more than $750,000 in federal funds in 1 year, it requires a single audit. So as we move forward, well, ARPA is getting us close with some of our expenditures if we spend, or any combination of ARPA and the RIA skip funds that we've just been awarded for $10 million. The moment we go over 750, there's a single audit that has to be done on that, so that's what he's referencing.
Yeah, and a single audit, it just sounds funny being called that, but it's essentially an extra set of procedures that we have to do, specifically testing certain programs and using their procedures to do so. So we're well equipped to handle that, but just to give you a little heads up that may not, we definitely have to look at it closely for FY23 to make sure we don't meet that threshold, but I'm kind of getting the idea that FY24 is a certainty. So we're looking at having to do those extra procedures, and yes, they have a stiff March 31st deadline.
Mr. Mayor,
Kimbrough.
what is the cost of doing the single audit?
Typically adds 15 to 20% to the cost.
15 to 20?
Now, what you see, if this is one single program that creates all of this, and it's not a major, like, it's not 750 within itself becoming a type A, then there may not be quite that much of an increase.
You mean in your fee?
Yes, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm thinking something else.
So
Okay, you're fine.
it's really going to determine, that's typical, but that's, it's one program that I have to test, there may not be that much.
And there is a deadline.
Oh, yes, all that has to be filed with the Federal Clearinghouse by March 31st.
Very good.
We're on top of that.
Well, thank you so much for being here tonight. We appreciate it, and all the hard work and the hard work to come. Thank you.
Teddy, I have a question for you.
Mr. Kane?
What would you estimate as far as the federal grants? Because they have given us a shot in the arm as far as budget is concerned, as far as this audit is concerned. How much federal money, roughly? How many millions?
Well, I mean, ARPA alone was 2.7, right at 2.7 million rounded. We're looking at 10 million in the SCIP funding, the South Carolina Infrastructure Investment Program, that's getting ready to come over the next couple of years. Certainly, that's all from a federal standpoint. Everything else has been run from a state to down to a county level.
Well, I mean, but that's
So
state money.
realistically,
On the beds too.
taking previous years and adding what we have coming up, just federal funding alone, we're looking at about $12.7 million.
Okay, so we benefited from Bidenomics also.
We're benefiting from the federal government.
Oh, I mean, okay, because we didn't have that much money coming in for that.
Thank you so much for being here. Teddy, manager's report, next up on the agenda.
It is what it is. It came from the.
Got a mouthful of Skittles, just take this one.
Oh, geez.
And a little faster.
Mr. Luckadoo.
All right. Wash them down.
Okay, got a few things to go over here. National Night Out event that we have every year will be held on Wednesday, July 26th, from 6 to 8 p.m. at College Park. At this point, we've got several churches, the VFW, the library, that'll be out providing games, face painting, snacks, and other activities. SLED, the Sheriff's Department, Animal Control, and other law enforcement will be in attendance. Of course, along with the Batesburg-Leesville PD and the Batesburg-Leesville Fire Department. We will once again have our burn demonstration where we catch the broom on fire, show a flashover, and then the police are working on some demonstrations that they'll have that night as well. So look forward to that event coming up. Wanted to provide an update on the flood that occurred on Thursday, June 22nd. Since our emergency meeting on the 24th and passing the emergency declaration, state and county emergency management officials have been working to do a complete damage assessment, or as complete of a damage assessment as they can. We put it on social media and websites for anyone who's sustained damage to contact Hudson County Emergency Management. They were in town a few days ago to follow up on those that reached out and contacted them, plus to assess the known damage from the event. They found a total of 26 properties with storm-related damage, 3 categorized as affected, which were all residential. 18 were categorized as minor damages. That was 2 businesses and 16 residents. And 5 with major damage, and that was 1 business and 4 residents. Based on these numbers, the state will not be able to meet the requirement, or we will not be able to meet the requirement for the individual assistance declaration. Historically, this is 100 homes destroyed with major damage. Infrastructure damages did not meet the threshold of 1.3 million for Lexington County and 9 million for the state. All this to say, it doesn't appear that there will be any assistance for those who sustain damage, and they will need to utilize their insurance for any damages that they receive. We have begun exploring mitigation grants that can be used to do upgrades and remediation projects throughout town to try and prevent future and further issues from occurring when we have events like this. We will be looking towards finding a grant that does a town-wide stormwater assessment or study. I think that's one of the big things that we would like to see. Even though we know a lot of the stormwater issues are DOT catch basins and DOT owned, we still believe that if we can get a mitigation grant of some type to have a full stormwater analysis or study done on our town, at least that gives us something that we can present to DOT and to show the findings of that, to show what they need to do moving forward to fix the issues. We are waiting the final results of our dam inspection, which was performed this past Monday. They have already indicated that we will need to have a study performed on the dam that may require some future modifications to both the normal spillway and the emergency spillway. We will keep the emergency declaration going for a little while longer while we still await these findings and studies, so that this may increase any chances that we have for grant funding moving forward.
Yes, Mr. Kane?
During the flood, did we spill into Duncan Creek? Did we spill waste into Duncan Creek?
As far as from the plant, not that I'm aware of. I know we did have some sanitary sewer overflows that occurred with manholes overflowing, which is, I hate to say it, it's not uncommon if you receive 6 inches of rain in an hour and a half to 2 inches with known infiltration and inflow issues. DHEC was made aware of those. They understood the circumstances that we were under, but they were informed about those. But as far as the plant itself dumping into Duncan Creek, I was not made aware of that occurring. We were sending the infiltration and inflow up to the EQ basins at the top of the hill. Do it. Now, the EQ basins are the aeration basins.
Okay, well, we were able to handle it.
Oh, we were able to just pass it right through the plant and store it up on top of the hill. We'll be sending that back through the plant over the next little while.
Good job.
So project updates, our water project continues to progress nicely. This week, we received what is considered a big milestone with regards to the Rural Infrastructure Authority and the $10 million that we received from them, or will be receiving from them. We received our notice to proceed from RIA this week, which means they've evaluated all of our applications, our projects, our PERs, our preliminary engineering reports, and we have been given the go-ahead to proceed with bidding, awarding, and construction. So really big milestone that we just got past this past week. Our engineers have provided an updated timeline for the project to DHEC as a part of our consent and keeping them up to date with all of the time frames. All permit plans and specs were submitted back in February 23. Bid opening is projected, as a matter of fact, I got a text earlier, I can give you the date it's going to be on the bid form. Bid opening will be August 29th at 2 o'clock for the project, which means that they're getting ready to drop the bids, bid posting out for that. Start of construction so awarding would be probably sometime in September. Once we can come to council with the recommendation from the bid opening, and start of construction is slated for December 2023, bringing the anticipated completion date December 2025. Our SRF loan application was submitted this week, and this past week, and we should have word on that back very soon. And we can't close on the loan until after we have a contract in place with the awarded contractor for that. The contractor for the liquid chemical feed project has been stalled for a couple of weeks. We've had an issue with HUD related to wage rates for the electrical contractor on that job. Any project funded with HUD fund requires what's called Davis-Bacon regulations, which sets a minimum wage standard for the contractors. Currently, our contractors were not provided, and HUD had not provided a standard wage rate for the electricians who were subcontracting. So we've been back and forth trying to push to get that wage rate back. Hopefully we'll have that in the next day or two so we can get the contractors back on site. In the meantime, we have made our first payment on the project for mobilization and foundation work and the stuff that's been done at this point, and we've already submitted that reimbursement request to Lexington County CDBG. The infiltration and inflow contractors will be back on site tomorrow, the 11th. All the 24-inch CIP lining was delivered to the Davis Pond site, and they will begin work on installing that. Also, work is about to begin on clearing the right-of-way at the head of that pond so that they can make access to the manholes where the damming had occurred. Right now, it's not accessible. They'll be working on getting that cleared and putting some matting down so that they can drive their vehicles in to do work within that area. One side note on the infiltration and inflow, got notification this past Friday that Lexington County CDBG has awarded us $321,144 and CDBG funding for 2023 to go towards continued infiltration and inflow improvements. Moving on to the financial update, the total for all non-utility funds ended the month at $1,917,448. With the general fund checking account ending at $719,246, with our newly formed LGIP account with the state local government investment pool having $1,102,210 in it, ending the month with about $2,200 in interest for the general fund. The utility fund checking ended at $84,465 with $2,838,997 in the LGIP utility fund account. In that one, we brought in about $6,500 in interest. And then the capital improvement impact fee account ended at $480,429. American Rescue Plan funds, we still have $1,441,512, and the 2021 infrastructure revenue bond account $595,119. The hospitality tax checking account ended the month at $171,392, and for the LGIP account that we created for H-tax funds, it has $901,914, bringing the total of all H-tax funds to $1,073,307. The total of all funds in the bank, not including the American Rescue Plan or the infrastructure revenue bond, is $6,394,647. As you look on the next page at your month ending June from 2015 to 2023, the biggest difference is you're going to notice is the bank accounts, the checking accounts are going to be different. Some of them are just going to be different because now we've rolled money into the LGIP accounts, and we've noted that on the side by side. The general fund ended the year revenue-wise at 97% at $5,035,113, with operating expenses at 102%, $5,331,83. The utility fund ended at 100% revenue at $3,336,659, and 109% operating expenses at $3,620,746. Victims Assistance Fund revenues ended at 137%, $10,272, while operating expenses ended at 100%, $7,512. And then the Hospitality Tax Fund operating revenues ended at 121% at $756,885, while operating expenses were at $259,944, which was 42%.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Mr. Hall?
in your financial reports, there shows no revenue for garbage collections in June.
Yeah.
That is billed with water sewer, so
I happened to catch that. I happened to run that report right before the transfer had been done and posted. So I need to rerun that report and repost
so
it.
we will get revised, you will post revised.
The bank account balances are right, because once I did this, the transfers had been done. I'm talking about the revenue expense report. I need to rerun the revenue expense report for the general fund so that it reflects the trash. That was the last thing that had to get done. I didn't realize it had been done yet, and so I ran the report prior to that.
I just try to balance your financial reports with this gentleman's.
That's going to be tough to do.
It is a little tough since they're on cash. The other one is 306. We've made a first payment on the fire truck.
We did.
Now, we had $315,000 in last year's budget for another payment. Is that considered an incumbent balance?
Well, we ended up not being able to make the payment because second payment's due to the
Is it
truck.
an encumbered balance? Is it legitimately?
Well, I don't think the town employs encumbrance accounting.
So therefore, okay, I just refer to our ordinance that that money cannot be rolled. that appropriation cannot be rolled forward, so you will have to approach council for a revised budget. Ten -1 -5 form of budget transfers. This is a ordinance.
But the thing is, it wasn't officially transferred in last year's budget because the payment was not made.
No, I'm
So it
saying,
wasn't done.
I'm saying that according to our ordinance, unless it's encumbered, you cannot roll it forward into this year's budget.
Well, it wasn't encumbered in last year's because we didn't make the second payment. So therefore, I guess
Then
it
you're,
would be.
then you're telling me you can't roll it over. I'm just saying, this ordinance should be number one on our agenda to revise.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Thank you, Mr. Luckadoo. Next item up is executive session. This evening, we have one item in executive session. This is discussion and receipt of legal advice regarding a memorandum of understanding between the town of Batesburg-Leesville and the town of Monetta. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Mr. Gambrell, do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Hall, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yep.
3,
District 3 votes yes.
4, 6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. We are in executive session.
We'll be back in April 2, Brian.
All right, and motion to return to regular session.
Mayor, we have a missing count.
We have missing, oh, I'm sorry. One second.
We're just,
Thank you, Mr. Hall.
what day are we going? Okay, what day am I going?
Thursday, I don't know.
Six.
We have to show.
There we go.
You're all going to.
Oh.
All right, do I have a motion to return from executive session?
So moved.
Moved.
All right, Mr. Gambrell, and I have a second by Mr. Hall. Any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
District 3 votes yes.
4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. We are back in regular session. Thank you. We have no actions in result of executive session, so we're going to move on to item, possible actions, potential agenda items for next month's meeting. I need my glasses. August 14th. Do you have any motions?
John?
Mr. King?
Yeah, I would like to see us amend the way that we do the agenda so that each council person can give a 2-minute spiel on what's going on in their districts, what they've done for the month before. So let that be something that we think about going forward. I don't know if we have the votes to actually do it, but if you're doing something in your district, we'd like to know who's doing what and where. So.
Okay, any other, is that a motion, Mr. King, or just a statement?
No, it's just a statement.
Okay, that's fine. Anything else? I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yes.
Mr. Hall, and I have a second by Mr., I think it was Ms. Brown. All right, any discussion? District 1,
Yes.
2,
Yes.
3,
District votes yes.
4,
Yes.
6,
Yes.
7,
Yes.
8,
Yes.
and Mayor votes yes. We are adjourned. Thank you.